subconsciously, if she sees you back down, then she's like, well, I can't trust him. He can't even handle me. Well, how can I trust him, to handle our family, to handle everything else? He can't put up with me. How am I going to trust him to protect me? And then that protector provider starts to go away. So your wife needs to find that somewhere else, internally, or unfortunately, a lot of times with another man, a fantasy, old high school sweetheart on Facebook, Instagram. You get the idea. And this is why it's so important for men to understand this concept of diffused awareness. Diffused awareness. What is it and why should you even care? Well, I had a coaching call with one of my clients just the other day. And during the call, it came up really evident to me that diffused awareness was playing a problem in his marriage. Now, so the idea of diffused awareness, right, or diffused focus is this whole concept that women are constantly aware of their surroundings. So my wife would say to me as an example, I always know what's going on around me. I know what everybody is doing or feeling around me, and I'm constantly aware of things going on. Whereas men, we have more singular focus, right? And so these are our superpowers as our genders. Now, of course, can I have diffused awareness? Yes. Can my wife have singular focus? Yes. But in our natural states, predominantly, my wife is going to have more diffused awareness around her environment, where I'm going to have more singular focus. Now, again, I can make myself be aware. I can be aware of what's going on to my right, my left, and in front of me. That's really switching focuses rapidly for me, whereas my wife is just constantly aware in a more dispersed manner with everything around her, what it feels like, is she safe, things of that nature. Now, some of this comes from, this theory from anthropology that back in the day, our caveman days, as men, we would go out hunting. And so if you and I were going hunting, we would have to be very focused. We have to be very quiet. We'd also have to be very focused once we found the prey, right? To be able to see the prey that we were going for. Let's just say it's a woolly mammoth. We'd have to be very focused on its movement, its patterns, because our life is at stake in this case. Like the woolly mammoth can turn, hit its tusks into us. Now, we're also not going to talk very much, right? Because we don't want to scare it away. This goes back to the theory of why men tend to grunt and not really talk much. An example might be, my wife might say, how was your day? And as a guy, I would go, oh, good, right? That's a typical communication for guys, guys that aren't trained, the guys that aren't activated. For women, it's very differently, right? So women back in those caveman days didn't do as much of the hunting. They did more of the foraging. And if they're going out to pick berries, as an example, they needed to go near rivers and streams or wherever else it may be where it's louder, and they can often be the prey, right? The saber-toothed tiger or another tribe could be there. So they always had to be aware of their surroundings. Also, women will often talk about their surroundings, but they're always aware of their husband, their provider and protector. So no matter what's going on in the relationship, my wife would say that a woman is always keenly in tune with her man, her provider and protector. It's innate within women. So diffused awareness. And why does this matter? Well, you see, for a woman, when she walks into her home, she'll say the home is talking to her. And what I mean by that is when she walks to the door, she immediately notices the dishes not being done, right? The dishes are now talking to her. If you can imagine a little kid talking to you, and my kids can just yap. But then the laundry that's not being folded. And then the toys that are out, or the magazines, or the mail that's sitting on the counter, all of these things are constantly talking at her, and it's fraying her nervous system. This is oftentimes why women will talk about being overwhelmed. Or when I talk to a man, this is what I talk to this coaching client about. When I talk to a man, they'll say, yeah, my wife she just seems to be on edge all the time. I go, hey, is she tired too? Well, yeah, she'd be tired, on edge, and just distant, and intimacy is just not happening. And so something I'll often ask the guys, because I hear this a lot, like, hey, my wife is tired. She's a stay-at-home mom, or she's the primary, caretaker at her house. And even if guys have a chef, a maid, and all of these things, they'll say their wife just needs space, or she needs time away, things like that. And I'll ask them, hey, when was the last time you were intimate? And they'll tell me typically, and And I'll ask them, okay, hey, when was the last time you guys went on vacation? And how was the intimacy then? Now, usually what a guy will tell me is, hey, when we were on vacation, wow, we were having great sex. We were connected. We were laughing. We were giggling. She was light and she was free. And it was amazing. But of course, that's vacation, right? And you want that back home. Well, the issue is because of this diffused awareness. When your wife's at home, she's got all this chatter going on at her, which drains her, strains her nervous system. And if she doesn't have the ability herself or with you to reset, she's going to stay in this energy, which then becomes a masculine energy. Now, you as a default masculine man and her as a woman becoming masculine with the energy, there's no polarity. And what happens when two masculine energies butt up against each other? Well, they're either going to fight or one has to back down. And if your wife is in this fight or flight mode, odds are you being a good guy are going to back down. And then she also, which is ironic, subconsciously, if she sees you back down, then she's like, well, I can't trust him. He can't even handle me. Well, how can I trust him, to handle our family, to handle everything else? He can't put up with me. How am I going to trust him to protect me? And then that protector provider starts to go away. So your wife needs to find that somewhere else, internally, or unfortunately, a lot of times with another man, a fantasy, old high school sweetheart on Facebook, Instagram, you get the idea. But when she's away, when she's at the hotel, the resort, or the lake house, wherever it is, usually provided you don't own it. That's the most key here. If you're away, she can relax because the environment isn't talking loudly at her, right? She's in a new environment. The stressors aren't there, especially if you have kids, right? And the kids aren't with you. Like, she doesn't have things to manage, so she can slip into her feminine energy. And when she's in her feminine energy, right, then intimacy is much easier. She's going to be light. She's going to giggle. She's going to have fun. Because trust me, guys, women want to have sex just as much as us guys do. But they need the environment to be right. I often say, us guys, we get connection. We feel connected to our woman when we're having sex, right? After sex, we feel very connected. Well, for women, it's the opposite. They need connection to want to have sex, generally speaking, right? Women need to be seen, heard, and desired. But they need their environment also to be quiet and calming. This is why we often tell men to figure out a decompression routine for their wives, right? Especially if your wife has a very masculine job. She's a lawyer, she's a police officer, she's a manager or a supervisor where she's always in this masculine role, right? And the men we work with, their wives are very intelligent. And I'm not saying anything, but we want her to slip into her natural femininity when she's home. So we want to create a routine, just like I want you guys to have your alpha rise and shine and your alpha decompression at the end of the day, so you can slip into your role as the chief fun officer, the CFO of your house. We need a way for your wife to take her diffused awareness and all this chatter that's coming at her and be able to actually relax. So I'm going to give you a couple things that you guys can do to create this environment. Okay. So step one is collect her berries. Allow her to unload her day onto you. Now, you don't have to keep it. You can let it wash over you. But you want her to be able to empty out. So chances are, if you're not doing this, your wife's doing this with her parents, with a girlfriend. And if not, she's probably doing it with another guy, quite honestly. And this is a lot of times I'll talk to guys, and they find out their wife's having an online affair or an affair, physical affair, and the guy isn't up to snuff to him. The guy was like, I'm so much better than this guy. I make more money. I'm better looking. And why is she having an affair with him? Well, he provided her with the space, with the safety, provided her with the fantasy of being seen and heard. Now, of course, it's easy for another guy to do that. It's temporary. So you want to do it for her. Allow her to empty her berries. And so it could be something as you're sitting down of like, hey, babe, what was the best part of your day? And then she can share it with you and just go, well, what else? What else happened? And keep being inquisitive and let her just spill out everything that's happened. Now, the key here is you have to listen, okay? And use the hidden motives technique, right? But you have to listen. You can't just go, as you're looking at your phone or you're looking away or you're thinking about the baseball game. That doesn't work. She'll pick up on that instantly. But allow her to download her day. Then often you'll see a woman go, big sigh, shoulders relax, because they're letting their day go. And if she's not doing this with you guys, I promise you she's doing this with somebody else. Hopefully for your sake, it's a girlfriend or another family member. So that's one. Two, and I do this one, I do the collecting berries usually after this one. So I'm going to back up. Usually what I'll do is I'll come in, I'll look at my wife, read the room, and I'll come up to her and I'll put my hand on her, touch the small of her back or a hand on her shoulder. I'll go, babe, go into the room, take a nice relaxing shower or bath, read for a little bit, and just go relax. Right. And my wife knows that's my sign of telling her, hey, go decompress. She also knows, and we have some joking comments, and I like to joke with her, like, go relax, I'll be in 30 minutes. And she knows that I'm prepping her for intimacy. Like I'm prepping her to have sex and to have some fun. But I also know that she needs to decompress. Then after that, I might empty her berries, right? I might go through that whole empty bearing routine or somewhere in there, or might stop by while she's taking a bath and just sit down and chat with her for a little bit. But what I want to do is move her out of this environment where her nervous system is on fray, where her nervous system is overactive. Because if her nervous system's overactive, she's in this stressed mode. And that's never good, right? That's how fights happen and a little bickering happens over nothing, right? Over nothing, over the trash or the dishes that have been yelling at her all day and been talking to her about not being done. She's going to turn to you and go, why'd you leave your dishes in the sink? You never do your dishes, right? And if you go into deer mode, where you start defending, explaining, reacting, defending, excusing, explaining, reacting. I'll get it right. If you start doing that, now you guys are really going to fight, right? And it's just going to be this whole environment. Not only is intimacy out, but there's going to be a rift between you two. And this can all be solved by creating, again, that environment that she's in when she's on vacation, which is this environment where her nervous system can physically relax. If you have kids, young kids, get a babysitter or set up the environment for her where the kids are taken care of. They're not going to be going, mommy, mommy, mommy all day with her, right? So take that away from her. And what I'll do sometimes, because I do have young kids, is I'll set them up. I'll get them snacks. I'll get them whatever they need to do, toys, an activity. I'll get them set up or I'll play with them, right? I mean, that's fun to do. And I'll get that all done. So that's off of her plate, right? And if you have older kids, what you might want to do is get their homework ready. Get them going. Hey, guys, get the table. You're doing homework. You're doing this. Hey, guys, going outside and playing basketball. Whatever it is. The point is she is no longer on duty at that point, and you are at least giving her a respite, a break, where she can reset herself. And typically, in my experience and talking to a lot of women, they only need about 20 minutes of this break to actually reset back in their femininity, and they can go. And you might want to say, hey, why don't you just go for a walk? Or hey, go for a walk and call your girlfriend Judy or whatever it may be. And you can do that too. You're providing her the space to do so. And she's going to love you for it. And then when she comes back, she can focus on you. She can focus on you during this time. But you have to hit the reset button. And this is why it's so important for men to understand this concept of diffused awareness. Again, whatever environment your wife's in, she's paying attention to everyone and everything around that environment. And if you want her to focus in on you, you need to calm her nervous system down, get grounded yourself so she can feel your energy, right? Collect her berries and also help reset that nervous system. And if there's kids or there's a lot of things around, just make sure that's done. And sometimes that could be as simple as, hey, I know the laundry's over there. That laundry will get folded later, or let's fold it together, or I got it. Whatever it is for you, but acknowledge what's happening in the environment and acknowledge a closed loop, right? The laundry will get folded by tomorrow morning. Then she can at least close down or quiet the laundry or quiet the dishes and quiet all this attention around her. So then she can be in a calm state and focus on you. Guys, give this a try. I think you're going to see this as like a magic bullet. Once you have awareness around this issue of diffused awareness, you're going to find out that your wife's going to have more energy. She's going to be calmer. She's going to be happier, which makes her more fun. And when she's happier and more fun, if you're also making her feel seen, heard, and desired, as we often talk about in this show, then you're going to find that intimacy is going to come a lot easier. And you and your wife are going to be more connected. You're going to have more fun. Your home environment's going to be better. It's going to be better for you. It's going to be better for your wife. And most importantly, in my eyes, it's going to be better for your kids as well. Gentlemen, as I always say in the moment of insight, take massive action, right? Get this diffused awareness, quiet things down for your wife. Make sure you do this today. Recognize where this is happening in your home. Recognize if there's undone projects, undone things, write them down and go about creating this environment where it feels like a vacation. Of course, there's stuff to be done, but it feels like a vacation on a regular basis in your home, and you're going to find your life being much more fun. Guys, I'll see you next time on the TPM show.